All right, so inventory in the Fraser Valley real estate market is rising extremely quick right now, and that is likely going to result in lower prices. At least that's what I would say. I'm that Agent Kelly. I talk about Canadian real estate and my local market of Abbotsford and the Fraser Valley, along with Vancouver. If you're interested in that, subscribe to the channel, like this video. If you want more pre-sale deals right to your inbox, I got a link in my description that will sign you up for that newsletter. All right, so I'm going to take you guys through the stats for the month of March for the Fraser Valley real estate market, and then anecdotally, I'm going to go over what I've been experiencing, boots on the ground, transacting in this market every day. All right, so here we got the FVRB, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, and we're going to start off with the HPI. So, as you guys can see, prices did go up. However, this HPI is a lagging indicator. I would say it lags at least 2 months, but probably more like 3 months behind the curve. Now, if we look at inventory, we can see that, we have an extra 200 homes on the market in March than we did in February. However, that is not the important data point here. The important data point is that March 2024 in comparison to March 2023, we have like an extra roughly 25 or 23% more homes on the market, nearly 5,200 in comparison to 4,034 homes. So inventory is substantially higher this year in comparison to last year. Now, when we go to sales, obviously sales are increasing right now because it is the spring market, and that's just historically what happens. However, you can see we have 1,329 sales for the month of March, which is a extremely slow spring market. Now, if we just compare this to last spring, 2,500 sales last spring. So sales are down nearly 50% in comparison to this time last year. And then if we even look at 2021, we're almost 2.5 times lower than the amount of sales that we saw in March of 2021. Now, obviously, March of 2021 was a record year, but that being said, we're down 50% year over year from last year for sales. Now, new listings actually overall lower this year than what we saw last year, 2,700 versus 3,300. So new listings are actually down, yet inventory is higher than it was, much higher than it was this time last year, just because the amount of sales are a lot lower than what we saw last year. So what I'm expecting to happen is when we get the April stats, you're likely going to see that the prices aren't increasing anymore. Maybe they go up a couple thousand, maybe like 2,000-3,000, just completely guessing. But regardless, this line, if we zoom in, this line is going to start rolling over and getting more flat. And then I think by, June, we're going to see it back on a downward trajectory, right? So June is basically, telling us what happened in March, right? That'll be what happened with prices in March for the most part. And that's at least what I've found, and maybe I'm wrong, but this indicator does tend to lag at least a couple months behind. And I think that this line is going to start rolling over. Now, when we take a look at the sales ratio for the Fraser Valley, it's still apparently pretty good, 26%. That's a seller's market. It's not a scorching hot seller's market, but it's a good market to list and sell a home in. However, it is down 30% from this time last year. This time last year was 37% sales ratio. Now we're at around 26%. So again, almost every metric that you can think of is worse this year than it was last year. Now, anecdotally, what is happening in the real estate market? Well, I will tell you that I have more listings than I've ever had in my career, although my career isn't very long. It's like almost 3 years. That being said, by next week, I'll be holding 22 to 23 listings. And I just got 2 showings today, but the last week before today, nothing. Everything is quiet. If you're overpriced 10, 15 grand, people won't even show your homes. Everything's just kind of sitting there. And it's interesting. I'm getting tons and tons and tons of reach outs every day for listings, but on the buyer end, the buyers are few and far between in comparison to the amount of listings that I'm taking on. I have forked up a lot of money to list a lot of homes that have not sold or have terminated or have expired or likely will not sell in the last little bit here, which is obviously unfortunate. Not complaining, but just boots on the ground, letting you guys know what is happening right now. And it is not easy to sell a home. I have homes out there that I've gotten millions of views on with only a couple showing requests. And then back in last spring market, there was homes that I got 15, 20,000 views on that sold in an afternoon. So the comparison is insane. So yeah, this isn't to say that you shouldn't list and sell your home right now. It's just, if you're going to, you have to do something to differentiate yourself from the competition. You have to make sure that the home is cleaned. You may even want to stage it. You know, if it's tenanted, you may want to sign a mutual release to end tenancy to get the tenant out of there so you can list it vacant, clean it up, paint. You want to take away all of the possible objections that a buyer would have, because if they have one objection right now, they're not going to buy. You know, whenever I list a home, I really look at it as a troubleshooting process. And to give you some context by, what I mean by that is, when I was a plumber and you'd be troubleshooting one of those automatic faucets in a public restroom, you would, obviously change the battery first, because that's the easiest thing to do, right? That's the easiest, most cost-effective thing to do, is walk in and be like, all right, maybe it needs a new battery. Okay, the battery didn't work. Is it the solenoid valve, right? Is it the cartridge in the faucet, right? How do I find out if it's the solenoid valve that, opens the water on and off automatically with the sensor, right? Well, I'm actually going to take the water and bypass the solenoid and see if it runs through the faucet. If it runs through the faucet, then I know the cartridge still works okay. Then I know it's the solenoid. It's a troubleshooting process, right? And when you don't present the listing properly right out the gate, then you have nothing to actually tell you that it's the price, right? Like, if the home looks like crap and then 40 people come through and show it and nobody gives you an offer, you actually don't know what the problem is, right? You're like, is it the price? Do I need to clean up the home? Do I this? Do I that? You still have a whole bunch of questions. Whereas if you set the listing up properly and then you have 40 showings and nobody writes you an offer, well, 9 out of 10 times it's going to be price in that scenario, right? So, if you're listing a home in this market, in a hot market, you can throw it on, it's going to sell. In this market right now, you really got to make sure the listing's cleaned up, everything is ready to go, and you're troubleshooting and eliminating those things, right? Marketing is another thing that you need to eliminate. I get hundreds of thousands of views from my customers, so nobody can tell me that marketing is the problem. And not to sound cocky or anything like that, but that's just the truth. That's what I do for my people, to eliminate that out of the troubleshooting process. But still, before we can even do the marketing, the listing has to be set up properly. So I'm not trying to discourage anybody from listing and selling their home right now, because there's a lot of people who want to do that. I'm currently selling my condo I just moved out of, or about to list it next week. But if you're going to do it, everything needs to be in check. The price, the presentation, the marketing, etc., because it is a tough market out there. If you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, like this video. If you want access to weekly pre-sale deals, I got a link in my description there where you can sign up for that. I'm that Agent Kelly, making moves to move you. Peace.